let us all do we can to build a better future.
Jon Stewart, but I did find it interesting, his show and what was being projected to us. Now, yes, he did say that Biden is objectively old. Now, I won't be playing any clips of it because we would get hit with copyright and a few other things. So, yeah, that's going to really hit us hard, and we don't want to deal with Comedy Central. However, in regards towards the fear of Donald Trump and everything else he represents, he brought up a lot of things about Joe Biden. However, it brings up the concept of, okay, Democrats, who are you going to bring up to challenge Joe Biden or either that replace Joe Biden? It is undeniable that both Biden and Trump are the two oldest individuals to run for the highest office of the land. I think we could fairly assume that this is pretty embarrassing for our country. I think a lot of us can agree that none of us want to see a rematch of 2020 being a click, copy, paste for 2024. But I don't expect the Democrats to do any kind of miracles or wonders or give us a new candidate by the DNC by the time the DNC convention comes here in Chicago. And yes, we will be covering it here. Harlan's Media will be at the DNC convention. But I want to pull up this article here. It's from the New York Post. Jon Stewart slams objectively old Biden over inability to remember very basic things in Daily Show return, which I watched. It was fairly entertaining. Jon Stewart returned to the Daily Show Monday night and wasted no time exhorting both President Biden and former President Donald Trump. Excuse me. In a scathing monologue that centered on their advanced ages. What the F are we doing here, people? Stewart fumed. Stewart, who hosted a talk show after a 9-year hiatus, ripped both candidates over their mental capabilities and slammed those who don't take issue with Biden's ability to run the country as an octogenarian. The comedian began a blistering 20-minute speech with the big news over the weekend concerning the special counsel report on the president's handling of classified documents. Look, we all saw that town hall, or not that town hall, that press conference. Apologies for that. Looks like I'm forgetting things too. Where Biden was actively yelling at the press in regards for their questions about his age. Now, when we clipped that video, I did see in the comment section below a few of our audience members, be they both conservatives or liberals or progressives, many were saying, or some of you were saying, not all, but some of you were saying, well, this looks like a symptom of what you see with elderly people when they are confronted about their age. They get very aggressive, they get very confrontational, and you know, to be fair, look, it's going to happen to all of us. It's going to happen to me too. And, you know, when somebody's going to ask me, do you remember this? Do you remember that? It's probably going to annoy me. It's a powerless situation, but this isn't funny, especially when you have Biden as the commander in chief. And shame on the Democrats and shame on Biden's family for putting this whole country and yes, even Biden through this. Now, I'm not a fan of Joe Biden, but I guess it takes Jon Stewart to to light the fires again under people's butts. Well, good luck, because that coalition around the Democrats is not going to form again. We've all learned firsthand. That's why I'm politically homeless. Never to trust the Democratic Party to do the right thing. And honestly, I don't know what is going to be done to push Joe Biden out. But if the Democrats were really serious about having a much more stronger candidate than Joe Biden, they should have done it early on in 2023 so that we would not be in this little quandary. But hey, go ahead, Democrats, keep screwing up because it's good content for me and everyone else in independent media because I'm laughing at you. Jon Stewart then goes on to say, this guy couldn't remember stuff during his deposition. You understand what that means? He had no ability to recall very basic things under questioning. In a clever switch up, the talk show host then played a clip from Trump's deposition where he's unable to recall what years he was married to an ex-wife, or whether he claimed he had one of the best, or whether he claimed he had one of the best memories in the world. It turns out the leading cause of onset dementia is being deposed, or He also tore into Biden for mistakenly referring to Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi as the president of Mexico during a press conference. Joe Biden had a big press conference to dispel the notion that he may have lost his step, and politically speaking, last 3 or 4 steps. So, look, he is objectively old. We have 2 contenders, 2 very old contenders who are running for the office of the highest land. So I want to pull up this article here, or this video here, where let me ask you, the audience, and shout out to Case Study QB. Biden on TikTok. You think that's going to inspire young people to vote for Biden? Type 1 for yes, Kit. Biden knows how to be a hip, cool cat. He's finally on the TikTok to tell all the kids to listen to the record players and turn on the radio. Type 2, no, that was utterly humiliating. I saw the TikTok and it was embarrassing.
The Biden campaign says that more than 5 million people watched the president's first TikTok video in less than the 24 hours after it was posted. On Sunday night, Biden joined the social media app and answered several Super Bowl-themed questions. It's humorous, mostly. It came after a series of polls showing the president struggling with young voters in a hypothetical 2024 election matchup against Donald Trump. In an NBC News survey taken last month, 44% of TikTok users ages 18 to 34 said they backed Trump in November, compared to 42% for Biden. Among non-TikTok using registered voters, the poll showed...
You said tic-tac. Tic-tac.
Biden leading Trump 43% to 40%. Joining us now, national politics reporter for The Hill, Julia Manchester. So, Julia, let's start there with the president standing among young voters. I mean, TikTok is one thing, and they're also, the campaign decision to go on TikTok has actually opened themselves up to some criticism because there's real national security concerns about an app that's been run out of China with ties to the Chinese Communist Party. The campaign says they have security safeguards in place. But beyond reaching out on TikTok.
Yes, because heaven forbid, China's going to listen to a senile old man rumble about, okay? Probably as soon as China saw that Biden posted his first TikTok, right? They're like, oh no, what's the old grandpa doing on TikTok? Probably Xi Jinping probably looked at his phone and was like, oh, come on, man, no. Putin's probably having a laugh. Everybody's laughing at it. The reason why it got so many views is probably a lot of young kids are wondering, how did Grandpa hack this account? That's what people are probably wondering right now.
How concerned are Democrats about Biden staying with young voters, and what else are they going to try to do?
Look, Jonathan, there's a real concern because we've seen these polls where young voters voice concerns not only about Biden's age, but also about his policies in the Israel-Hamas war, for example, over, the push for student loan debt relief, environmental concerns. So these are all policy areas where we could see the president sort of continue to highlight over the past next few months in an effort to really galvanize that young voter base. But, I do have some questions about their strategy. I mean, going back to the Super Bowl on Sunday night, I was surprised that Biden decided not to do that, traditional pre-Super Bowl interview that presidents often do.
There's a reason why. There's a reason why he didn't do that Super Bowl interview. Okay? I hate saying this because this hurts me, okay? I've seen and I've known people who've dealt with loved ones suffering through Alzheimer's, okay? I've had friends go through it too. It's painful. Now, Biden clearly has some mental issues. Can you imagine how embarrassing it would have been for the Democrats if they allowed him to do that? However long the interview goes, 2 hours, 1 hour, at the bare minimum, 1 hour, right? Usually those interviews go on a little bit longer. What if Biden just really had a lapse of memory, or either that froze like a computer like Mitch McConnell did? Yes, that could happen. And do you think the country would be inspired to see that? There's a reason why it didn't happen. There's no big mystery behind it. It's because everybody knows. Remember when James O'Keefe confronted that security analysis from the White House administration and he was spilling the beans about everything, that yes, Biden has some mental issues. Now, of course, that is just what this person said, but we all see it. But according to everybody else that's saying that Biden is sharp, Biden's on point, Jon Stewart brought it up on his first day back on the Daily Show, and that was, is there video of Biden being sharp and telling leaders and generals and commanders what to do? Is there video? Is there photography? Are there pictures? Because right now, what we see on social media, what we see being presented to us is two different things. Stop lying to the American people.
Super Bowl where you had people of all ages, many young people, young women, for example, watching for superstars like Taylor Swift and Beyonce. And it seems like a prime opportunity to reach those voters. So I was a little confused about why they didn't do that. But
Why are you confused? We all know the answer.
TikTok seems to be definitely a strategy to meet those voters where they are.
So let's spend a moment more on that Biden strategy. As noted earlier, we did see the president publicly yesterday. He didn't take questions. We know that he did a few days ago in the wake of that special counsel report that challenged his memory. That exchange with reporters got sort of heated. A lot of Democrats think that he didn't do himself any favors there. When you speak to members of the president's party, what do they want to see from him to try to combat this narrative that he, fair or not, that he's too old for the job?
Well, I think they want to see him, I think there's two schools of thought. One school of thought would say they would like to see him out publicly doing these things like TikTok or even these press availabilities, I should say.
He can't, and it's embarrassing. Okay? I saw that one commercial where Biden was telling to the American people, hey, we're going to tell companies to stop shrinking the products and making sure they put more chips in their bags of chips. Because, when you open up a bag of chips, potato chips or whatever, we all seen it. Like you're mostly getting air, or he's at smaller ice cream containers. That's what Joe Biden was bringing up. Smaller Gatorade bottles or soda bottles. Okay. All right, fine. But see, that's not a real pressing issue. It's further on down the line, right? Yes, it's who doesn't like to open up a bag of potato chips and have it nothing but potato chips? It's lovely. It's beautiful. However, the more pressing issue is the economy and how Americans are struggling day in, day out. Now, this lady's asking how come Biden's not on the press, being interviewed by the press more? How come he's not doing this or that? It's because he's very old, he's very frail, and yes, his memory is failing him, okay? And anytime the cameras are on, expect a Biden gaffe. There's no denying it. The campaign trail is designed for somebody who's sharp and on point. You want to inspire fear in your opponents? You want to inspire respect from your supporters? That's what you have to do, and Biden can't do it.
Say with people like the King of Jordan. I thought it was interesting yesterday. He was talking about an issue that a lot of young voters really care about, and that's the Israel-Hamas war. And he was taking a much more sympathetic stance towards the Palestinians. I mean, depending on who you talk to, but it seems like it was more sympathetic than we've seen in the past yesterday. So maybe that could potentially, play slightly better with those voters.
Yes, but it's not. I want to pull up this here. All right. Where Morning Blow, shout out to Case Study QB, is giving the case why rich capitalists should vote for Biden in 2024. So, folks, stop having your own opinion and listen to the rich capitalists.
For all these rich people that are bitching about how he's a socialist, and I heard another story about it last night. People around the table, this guy that's got millions and millions of dollars, all he's doing is bitching about, Biden's a socialist. He's surrounded by socialists.
Oh, wow. Hey, Morning Blow, using the bitching on BSDNC.
Because he's a really wealthy guy, nobody at the dinner table was saying anything to him. And then a woman I know was telling me about how she said, hey, wait a second. How's Biden a socialist? Well, he's...
Thank you. Somebody. I mean, look, it's not just... Look, folks, listen, Fox News. One of the rare times I'm going to agree with Morning Blow. Like, hey, how's Biden a socialist? Yeah, no, he's not. Any progressive that's saying that Biden is going to side with progressive values or anything like that, or Fox News saying Biden's a socialist, he's not, okay? It's just like saying that Chicago's a communist utopia. No, it's not. For the love of Christ, it's not. Please, it's not. It's a corporatist neoliberal nightmare built by sociopathic individuals who really changed the face of politics here in this city. But that's a conversation for another day. Please read American Pharaoh.
It's just name one policy. Well, name one person in his administration. Well, I just know he is. He must just know he is because he listens to certain shows on Fox News or Fox Business or Newsmax or something like that. That's the thing, Michael, that Willie and I talk about all the time. Yep. You want to know how Biden's doing? Look at your 401k.
Hey, folks, how's your 401k treating you? You love it? People are probably going to be writing in the comment section below, what's a 401k, man? I remember 401k. All of that's non-existent now, folks. All this madness and insanity. Whatever happened to us?
And if you're one of these rich country club types that drive your Ferrari or your Maserati,
so everyone stop listening to yourselves, stop listening to your friends. Listen to the rich people.
country club and bitch about how horrible the economy is, look at your stock app and see how much money you're making every hour, because there's not a crazy lunatic in the White House. There's somebody who actually respects the rule of law. There's actually somebody who respects America.
Say that again. Respect the rule of law. After all the scandals surrounding Joe Biden and his son Hunter Biden. Really? What about all the other previous stuff that he's done? Okay.
American democracy. And yes, there's actually somebody that respects American capitalism and what keeps it stable. But these freaks, I'm not exactly sure what they think they're going to get from Donald Trump, but they're going to get none of that. So just look right in front of you right now when trying to figure out, Michael, whether he's up to the job or not. Your 401k suggests he is.
Yes. So listen to rich people. But hold on. Gets even funny. Morning Blow asking why Biden team isn't doing a better job of protecting Biden from public gaffes. Look, we all have gaffes, right? All right. We all stutter. We all speak, and sometimes we might forget a word here and there. Nobody's perfect. There's no such thing as perfect. However, watch this. This is a question like, hey, how come the Biden administration can't stop old man Biden from sounding senile? How come the Biden administration can't stop Biden from yelling at the clouds?
I've said it before. I'll say it again. With Biden, it's presentation. It's and the question is, why was he allowed to talk for 5 hours the day after the Hamas terrorist attack for 5 hours? It didn't serve him well. It didn't serve the White House well, and I'd even say it didn't serve the investigation well.
We didn't seem to have too much of a problem with Reagan as an older presidential candidate and president. So I think there are a number of variables that go into that. So I think we're now discovering for the first time what that limit may be. So having said that,
there's no denying Biden's age. I want to pull this article back up. This is a quote from Jon Stewart from his show yesterday. We have two candidates who are chronologically outside the norm of anyone who has run for the presidency in this country, in the history of this country. They are the oldest people ever to run for president by breaking by only 4 years the record they set. So 4 years ago, they were the oldest candidates to run for office, and they broke that record again. They are both stretching the limits of being able to handle the toughest job in the world. What's crazy is thinking that we are the ones as voters who must silence concerns and criticism. It's the candidate's job to assuage concerns, not the voter's job to mention them. Stewart, who's typically left-leaning, focused much of his monologue on questioning what proof Democrats have that Biden is as sharp and quick-witted as they claim. But he added that Biden isn't Donald Trump, listing several of the scandals and indictments besetting the former president. Trump has turned those negatives into positives. This is the only person who I know so far in recent memory to use their mugshot as a way to get more support. Any other politician, any other candidate would be humiliated. Trump is just rolling along with it. Again, Jon Stewart is quoted on saying, but the stakes of this election don't make Donald Trump's opponent less subject to scrutiny, Stewart said. It's more. So, yeah, we have to have real criticism towards Biden. But Democrats, if you're all in for this, then expect more gas. You can't stop Biden from stuttering or stammering or forgetting things. This was the guy you betted on in 2020. You put him on as the front card runner for the 2020 primary and then for the general election. You told anyone that was going to be critical of Biden that they were a Trump supporter. You used bullying tactics and harassment online and on corporate media to push people to vote for Biden, and Biden won. And as time progressed on, we all saw just how senile and incompetent and inept Joe Biden is. You can't stop Father Time. Biden is aging. His memory is failing him.
Here's where we are. So can we get over all the noise around how old these two men, because that's not changing between now and November. They're getting older, not younger. So let's live with what we got. Voters had a choice They had a choice when both of these men stood on the stage at their respective times running for president, and they were chosen by primary voters. So let's get over it.
Yeah, so we got to get over it. Get over the fact that we got old, senile individuals running this country. Get over the fact that Biden doesn't remember. So I really liked Jon Stewart coming back. It kind of reminded me of the old days. But however, I don't think his words or anyone else's criticism is going to change the Democrats' plans. I think they're assuming that the fear of Trump is going to get people to vote for Biden. And if not that, if they do pull out a candidate, why are you waiting so long? I mean, are you just assuming then that whatever kind of shiny turd you're going to pull out, not a shiny piece of gold, a shiny piece of turd, right? If you pull out last minute, then everyone's going to vote Democrat. That's not how things work. 50% of the population identifies itself as independent. Many voters who used to be part of the Democratic coalition either are choosing not to vote or were looking at voting an independent third party or, shockingly, maybe considering voting for Trump. You can't put together a coalition after you told so many people to F off, after so many promises were broken, and they're supposed to be inspired by Biden when he speaks. We've all heard Biden speak. This is sad and embarrassing. I'm not going to say I feel sorry for Biden. I feel embarrassed. I feel embarrassed for our country. I feel embarrassed every time I see him speak. It makes me feel bad. It makes me feel disgusted that this is what we've been reduced to. This is what our leaders, our supposed leaders, the people in positions of power are deciding for us. And that there's no one there to bring in common sense. Where are the people that are supposed to lead? Oh, that's right. They don't exist because they've all been bought. Because our system is corrupt. Because our politicians, most of the time, they're either enriching themselves or calling their donors so they can get more money. You are not their priority. So when you hear Democrat politicians or Republican politicians say they have the best interest for America, no. They have the best interest for their donors to selling what piece of America would make them the most money. So if you vote Democrat, you vote Republican, you want these two old dogs to fight, fine. You want to support them? Go ahead. That's your choice. It's your right to do so. But the rest of us, the awakening wonders in this country who are waking up, and we do hope that Democratic voters and Republican voters join us as well. As soon as you're free from the two-party system hypnotism, then you can start making a difference. Joe Biden's an old president, and he's got to go. And this is humiliating. But if you want me to vote Democrat, convince me, tell me, and don't use Trump. So in case you're seeing this is just a major update. First time right now, breaking news. The White House confirms Biden will not take a cognitive test as part of his upcoming physical exam. Biden will be the first U.S. president in history to refuse a cognitive test. Don't believe me? Here you go.
Does the White House think that the idea of the president taking a cognitive test as a part of this physical is a legitimate idea, particularly just on the heels of the special counsel report, more polling, as my colleague Selena just mentioned, showing that many American people have concerns about that?
Look, I got this question last week as well, and I'm just going to say what Dr. O'Connor, it's kind of what he said to me about a year ago when the report came out last year, obviously on his physical, which is the president proves every day how he operates.
So, oh my goodness. So what's going on here? Well, as it turns out, hey, just so everyone sees it, Defiant White House says Biden won't take cognitive tests despite damning her report and worried voters. Oh, my God. So the White House says President Biden will not take a cognitive test even after a damning report from his own Department of Justice, highlighting his poor memory and voters expressing major concerns about his mental acuity. The president proves every day and how he operates and how he thinks by dealing with world leaders, by making difficult decisions on behalf of the American people, whether it's domestic or national security. All right. And by the way, Biden's physician, Dr. Kevin O'Connor, this is how they're doing it. This is how Dr. O'Connor sees it. And that's how I'm going to leave it. Say it again.
how he thinks, right? But by dealing with world leaders, by making really difficult decisions on behalf of the American people, whether it's domestic, whether it's national security. And so he shows it every day on how he thinks, how he operates. And so that is how Dr. O'Connor sees it, and that's how I'm going to leave it.
What do you think about the idea of taking that kind of a test?
I believe, for me, you're asking me my personal opinion, he is sharp. He is on top of things. When we have meetings with him, with his staff, he's constantly pushing us, trying to get more information. And so that has been my experience with this president. Anything else outside of that, I just shared with you what Dr. O'Connor said to me. And so I'll just leave it there.
We are being ruled by sociopaths. We are being ruled over by people who are willing to put everything on the line to deny reality. I am very concerned how the convention here will play out in Chicago. I'm very concerned of overall the mood of the American people, because the American people can only take so much abuse.